Welcome to the One Bloody Take movie podcast, where we go back in time several decades to browse the aisles of your local video store. I'm Paul.
And I'm Russ.
And today we're renting the 1984 movie Splatter University. So get your popcorn and snow caps ready while we give you our bloody take. All right, Splatter University. I'm going to skip a little piece of information here because it's actually going to be part of your conversation a little bit later on. It's directed by Richard W. Haynes, who has directed a few other things out there like Class of Nukem High, which is, to me, a classic. Our executive producer is Lloyd Kaufman, and we'll get into his relevance in this in just a second, but obviously he's as important as it gets when it comes to B-level horror movies. And of course, we have the famous Jim Martin from Faith No More, everybody's favorite band, one-hit wonder from the 80s.
Oh, no. Oh, no. No. Oh, okay. And the funny thing is, I don't know. I think I identified him in the movie. There's a scene where they're going to like this convenience store or whatever to get some food, and the girls go in and come out, and he's blocking them along with another guy. He's the only guy that I think could be it. But he has a name in the credits, and they do refer to someone as Jim, but there is no way that person is Jim Martin.
Was Jim Martin? Then how do you know he's in that?
So it says it like he's in. He has, it's an acting credit for him.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So I don't think and I think he worked on the movie. I think he just kind of filled in. So that would make even more sense that he was just the guy standing in the door frame.
Okay, fair enough. I was, of course, not necessarily kidding about them being a one-hit wonder, but that also doesn't detract from their talent. They're an incredible band, but
commercially speaking,
they have an epic.
That's an accurate. But there's so much. But I mean, I understand you want to distance yourself from them, like Patton, famous child predator, satanic cult member. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I've been listening to Corey Feldman too much. It's the exact opposite.
Listen, I mean, either way, you got to get your inspiration from somewhere, and if it creates that music, who am I to tell you what your process should be?
Yeah, it's like he's just mad because instead of Mike Patton, he got stuck with Fred Durst
and Michael Jackson. So the trailer is good. The trailer is strong. It is enticing. It is the kind of trailer that makes me want to watch your movie. It is misleading. And I'll get into that. That's all. There's all one particular piece of category here that I want to speak about, and then you can talk about everything else for the movie as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
The poster is fine. It's the title of the movie, sort of in visual form. Like it's not creative, but it's not dishonest. It's accurate. You're clearly at a school, and there's clearly murder happening, and that's what this is, and that's what this is. So good for them. It's a dead-on accurate cover.
Yeah, the trailer itself as a trailer is fine, but it is a little it's misrepresenting the movie to me. It makes it seem like this is more of a party school. Right. As opposed to a religious school.
Right.
And I get the feeling, it's going to be a bunch of hijinks, and it's not. So
hijinks is
there's that
word here.
And the movie cover itself depicts a cheerleader. There are no cheerleaders in this movie.
There are not.
There's no sports in this movie. The girl on the front cover isn't even in the movie. To make things even more perplexing and angering, when you flip it and look at the back, there is a shot that never took place in this movie. But there is an actress in it who looks like Denise, but the other girls I do not recognize. And the killer is in a cap and gown. So none of this ever happened in the movie. So if I were to rent this, based on what they're telling me, and even if you read the synopsis, they're comparing this to Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween, which I get's a little tongue-in-cheek. But at the same time, it's just another lie on top of all the other lies that they've put on this cover. And it even says that Julie is a co-ed, not a teacher.
Right. So I have a theory about this, and it's just simply boils down to, again, this piece of information I'm skipping over on purpose, but the creators of this movie, I feel like when they make their movies, they start from a small point. Like they're at their house at 2 a.m. drinking, and they go, wouldn't it be funny if, and it's this one little minuscule dot, and then everything sprouts out from there to get you to that dot. So I really feel like the title of this movie came first, right? Like,
yes.
Oh, we'll call it Splatter University, and people who are smart will pick up on the fact that it's Splatter U. Get it? Splatter U. And they were like, yes, that's going to work so great. And then they started building it out from there with no context, and they wound up with an entirely different movie to coax you into that title. And that's why, like, all this media is not really representative of the movie whatsoever, because they had all this media before they had a movie.
And what also I think doesn't help with this situation, and I agree, you know, I feel like this is how these things play out. A lot of this movie was shot in 1981 and then shot in 1984. And when watching it, there is a difference in quality in some of the scenes.
Yeah.
So we have, I think, probably the story they wanted to tell in 1981 with the story they decided to tell in 1984, and they're all just being patched together.
I didn't realize that, and that does make sense, because there was parts of it that felt like have you ever seen a movie where you get a director's cut, but the director's cut was like made from the footage that was left on the floor, like you can tell which parts were the actual movie that was released, and then when it gets to the part the director added back in, it becomes grainier and like it's not as finished. That happened here a couple times, and that makes sense now as to why I was seeing that happen, considering that, you know, in 1981 and in 1984, it's not like they had the best technology in the world, that the main movie could have looked so pristine compared to the other pieces. But that makes sense that parts of it were filmed 3 years apart, because in that era of technology, 3-4 years is night and day. 3-4 years is filmed on DVD versus filmed on 35 millimeter film, you know?
Their skills would have gotten better.
That too. Yeah. Well, not these guys, but other people in this position. So the movie cover and the title and the trailer, they're good enough. They're
right.
Straight to the point. We know what we're getting because we know what this is. Our plot, as we see it in the movie, is actually a new sociology teacher is struggling to do her job because the people around her are dying, which does make it difficult.
It does.
Now, right away with that point, I thought the very first thing that stood out as being weird to me was somebody got killed, and she's pretty much there to replace the person who was murdered, more or less.
Yes.
And they're treating it like it's a superstitious thing. Like, oh, I don't want you to be superstitious about that murder teacher who the murder hasn't been solved yet. I feel like that's not how superstition works. Like, if you told, oh, the school was built on the burial ground of 500-year-old sociology teachers who hated the universe, and you go, okay, so you're going to be nervous working here. That's a superstition. It's not really a superstition to say the person you're replacing is dead, and we're not quite sure why. So you're weird to keep your head on a swivel because of that.
Well, I believe that's because in this universe, crime doesn't actually exist. So superstitions take its place because there wasn't one police officer responding to anything that happened or following up on anything that happened.
Well,
so
it's a religious school, though. They had Jesus in their corner. What are cops going to do?
If he can't solve it.
You got the son of the Lord there. If that's not going to protect you, what are we going to do? We're useless.
I guess that does make sense.
So that was the first thing that struck me as odd right away. But that's not actually how the movie starts. The movie starts in an asylum, right? Like
Yes. Yeah.
And a lot of weird stuff is happening because we're in an asylum. And horror movies do this. Horror movies do this sort of, we're in a place where crazy people are captive, so obviously everything in this place is crazy. And that's not how any of that works.
And even then they're supplying them with all the things to do these crazy actions with. Let's see what we got in the mail today. Mannequin head. Who wants a mannequin head? Giant cardboard box to stand in. Bill, did you sign up? Oh, yes, Bill ordered the giant cardboard box. The horsey to move up and down the wall. Okay, Ron, that's yours. Like, it's like they're not going to have access to all this.
It's like they're wrangling cats.
Yeah.
You guys want the squeaky toys? Let's go play with the squeaky toys. Come on, guys. Stop tearing up the walls. Let's play with the squeaky toys.
But like one of the things the movie does, I think it can't tell whether it wants to be humorous at times or serious. And by doing this, by starting out this way, you are making it humorous.
Yeah.
Because all the scenes we're seeing are over the top, and that's fine. You pick a lane. I'll be happy with whatever highway you're going to drive down, as long as you stay on that highway and constantly don't get on and off.
Yeah.
And
They started out absurd, and they backed off of absurd after we leave the asylum, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
the asylum has random knives on the floor.
Well, yeah, of course it does.
Yes.
Why would you're testing to see if they're still crazy or not? If you pick up the knife, you have to stay. If you leave the knives alone, you get to leave. That's all. So they're looking for this person, Daniel Graham, who got out of their room.
Well, that is true.
Thank you.
But they are actually looking for William Graham because they can't remember the name of the person. So
that is another like bog standard horror movie insane asylum trope, is that they are so entirely and completely mismanaged that the people who are working there are generally not familiar with the patients, right down to not knowing their names.
But I also feel like that's also the people in the movie and the writers and the director not remembering the names. Because they said, I saw that continuity was so bad on this set that Julie, Forbes Riley, the actress, was taking it upon herself to make notes, to make sure things stayed consistent. So, I mean, right off the bat, because I thought I was crazy. I thought in fact, I started to order a giant cardboard box because I wrote down William Graham as the killer.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's Daniel Graham. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I imagined that. Went back. No, I did not imagine it. It happened properly.
That's how William got away with it all, because they were busy looking for Daniel, and William just got to walk out the front door. You guys are looking for whom? Oh, no, sorry. I'm William Graham. You guys take it easy. So we get some weird time leaps for reasons kind of unknown.
Yeah. And the second we get the time jump after the doctor's death. And then we get 3 years later, and then we're at that college. Right. And then after the first death, we get our second time jump right away, which just says the next semester, but also yesterday. So we have a time jump, and an analepsis. And that is way too convoluted.
That is not how
for
I read
a movie
that word at all.
Yeah, well, yes. I'm an anal therapist. So, yeah, that is way too convoluted for a movie of this caliber to be like, it's in the future, but a day behind.
Yeah. So
At that point,
why didn't they just jump to the day?
yeah, I don't know why we had to show that one day first and then come back, but that's what we did.
But but yeah, no, it didn't.
Yeah, no, yeah.
That's all.
You're trying to make sense of
Yeah,
it.
I know. I should know better at this point.
Yeah.
So we get our Julie Parker shows up on campus, and she's looking for Father Jansen. And we're not supposed to know who Father Jansen is, but they do a pretty lousy job
Yes.
of hiding who Father Jansen is in this movie. Like, there's plenty of movies out there where like who the killer is given to you right away, and then there's plenty of movies where it's a secret, until the bitter end, until you actually finally put it all together. This one just kind of middled it, and just we're not gonna say this, but you're gonna quickly pick up on this because we're gonna make it so patently obvious.
Because we do get scenes with the black slacks, black shoes. We get the black sleeves. So it's either one of the fathers or someone pretending to be a father, but that person would also have access to the school. So out of the characters we've been introduced to, it's a very small list, and it's kind of obvious which one it is. They do try to throw us off the trail at times, but none of it actually makes sense.
No.
For any of the other people to be it. And what kind of bothers me, I don't care if the killer is a mystery. Like we watched New Year's Evil, and they concealed we saw the killer's face, but we concealed the identity of who the killer truly was because the movie plays out better that way.
Yeah.
If we know it's her husband, it's not going to add the layers of suspense that it builds up to. And one of my favorite mystery killers is Friday the 13th. When we have Jason's mother, Pamela Voorhees, she's doing all the murders, and the only hint that we get pretty much is that when Annie, I think she's like the cook, or she's making her way to the camp, she hitches a ride. We see a Jeep. We don't see the killer, but we see a Jeep. And then later at the end, when I think it's just Alice left, and she, and Pamela pulls up, Alice doesn't know who Pamela is, but the audience sees the car. So we see that Jeep. So we realize moments before Alice realizes she's in trouble. So there's this concern for the character. They built it up. They played it out very well. So by concealing it, it makes sense because it pays off later. And Pamela has a clear motive as to why she's killing these people. Father Jansen's motive is, I like girls, but I don't think I should like them the way I like them, so I kill them.
Well, I mean, listen, when it comes to priests and their motivations tied to sexuality, they've run into some problems historically. So
yes, I did say girls, Paul.
I understand, but either way, this is their wheelhouse in certain terms.
He's a fake priest at that, so maybe he just
makes it even more clever.
Selling the role, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. So like, it's just show us who it is. Just show us who it is from the start. We already know because you couldn't cover it up, and there's literally no payout later with the reveal.
No, there's not, and you're right, and there's because there's a lot of this movie that they couldn't decide on while they were making it clear.
Yeah.
So Julie gets the job for a couple reasons, and not the least of which is that all of the other applicants pulled out because the classroom is jinxed. Now, this goes back to that thing that I was saying where, like, an unsolved murder is not a jinx. It is
not
a legitimate concern. However, why did those people apply? this murder didn't just happen yesterday. This murder happened a little while ago, and these people still applied only to then reject their own application under terms that already existed in the first place.
I was too upset by other things to even think that far down the road. But yes, 100% correct. Why are you applying for a job that you don't want?
Right.
You're not using that leverage to get another job. I got an offer.
Right.
Go ahead and take it. It's jinxed. You know.
They were going to offer me a few more bucks, but they had a dead teacher in the room, so I couldn't balance them out. So I decided not to take the job. You applied. After the murder happened, and then pulled out. So the only other possibility becomes that she was actually the only person who applied, and they just needed to make it sound like the job was more in demand at some point.
Yes.
But on the other side of that, if that's the case, right? If no one else applied except Julie, and Father Jansen needs Julie, or Janet. Well, no, I can just do whatever I want with the names too, since the movie can do it.
Yes. Well, that's it. There's Janet. There's Julie Parker and Janet
Phillips.
Yeah. Phillips. They're both JPs.
Yeah. So if I'm the priest and I need Julie to be there because I need her to be my next victim, I don't think it's a great idea to share with her that a bunch of other people have pulled out of this job because they're terrified, because she clearly is not thinking that now. And I don't want her thinking that later.
And it's not Pennywise where they need to feed off the fear.
Right.
This is...
This guy's not good at this, but yet here we are.
Yeah.
So when Julie goes to move into her little apartment that she's staying in, whatever, there's, as is tradition in horror movies again, some sort of house marm sort of situation with Miss Bloom. And Miss Bloom is a real friggin' weirdo. And this is another thing about this movie where I think at some point they wanted to kind of give you almost everyone as a murder suspect, as a murdering suspect. And because they made Father Jansen so patently obvious, and because they made these other people so ridiculous, that just came off as really weird. Like, Miss Bloom was just a really weird person, where I think at some point in the scripter's mind, in the writer's mind, it was, and we'll make Miss Bloom just quirky enough to make you think that maybe she's the one who killed the previous tenant in her building.
Right. No, that does make sense, because otherwise Miss Bloom serves no purpose.
None.
What she does do, though, is have a discussion with Julie about making sure to lock the front entrance. And the way she describes it is that people are getting killed left and right. And the batshit insane thing was, she's like, today's killers aren't like the ones I had when I was growing up. It's like, I swear there's no sense of decorum or community amongst the killers today. In my day, the killer would say, "How do you do?" before plunging the knife into your heart. Like, that is what she was talking about. Right. So when you mention lock the front door, then it has to be like Black Christmas. It has to be like Slumber Party Massacre, where lock the windows, lock the doors, do this, do that. They're letting us know in the future someone's going to get in through an unlocked door. Someone's going to get in through an unlocked window. Nope, never happens. And that's kind of why I think, too, like, we shot these scenes, had something else in mind, and then they just never did it. But then they needed to establish this because it wastes a bunch of time. And if we take this out, our movie's an hour long. So we'll just leave it in and hope no one thinks about it too much.
And so now, so far as our main character, Julie, is concerned, she has showed up for a job that was explained to her that I'm surprised you showed up at all because the last person was murdered.
Yeah.
Then the follow-up to that is, you definitely have the job because everyone else who applied has pulled out because the person before you was murdered.
Yeah.
Then you go to move into your house, and the first thing the first stranger you meet says is, make sure to lock the door because people around here keep getting murdered. And Julie just keeps trudging on. Like, I don't know how much they were paying her for this job, but there has to be a left turn at some point where you know, there's a lot of murder talk here at this school for this job. I am sure that there is another job of this ilk somewhere in the vicinity that I can go take and extract the murder component from all of this.
I've talked to 2 people for more than 30 seconds, and each one won't shut up about murder.
About murdering.
Why are you staying?
And about why I'm not sufficiently concerned and scared about getting murdered myself. Like, it's not even like, man, did you hear about that terrible murder that happened because maybe it made the news? It's specifically, why aren't you afraid of dying? You should be way more afraid of dying around here.
And especially because Miss Bloom, the way she talks about death, there's this joy to it.
She romanticizes
like, she's happy. And it was sort of like, just like last week with Evil Speak, Miss Friedmeier's giving these vibes out like she has something to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Bloom's giving those same vibes, just, you know, not with her legs.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. I don't think she had the legs for it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But either way, she's romanticizing murders and not. Yeah, Julie. To me, Julie is the one in the insane asylum at this point. Julie is the one who should be playing with open boxes.
Yeah.
Because Julie is getting this data and going, yeah, but the kids need to learn about sociology. How are they going to learn about society's ills if I don't just ignore all of this obvious information and just, you know, trudge ahead?
Yeah, they got to be. I got to teach them in the class they don't want to learn anything in. So if it's not me, it'll be someone else.
I don't understand her. Like, that's one of my problems with the movie is just in general, I don't understand her motivation at all.
Yeah.
So
I think it's just she can't see negative in things, you know. Like, she's just a little too upbeat and
she's too wide-eyed.
Yeah.
So she takes job, obviously. Moves into the house. She's clearly not a good housekeeper because she just takes her clothes and like throws them in the drawers. Like there's no.
Not. It's not even that she just drops them in.
Mm-mm.
It's that the arm of one of her shirts hangs all the way out, and she's just like, "That's good enough."
Yep.
And why did we see that? Even if you're writing this character and you go, you know what, she may look like she has her life together, but at home, her house is a complete mess.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was not a complete mess.
No.
So is it just like she's got this one thing where she can't come to terms with folding clothes and has to ball them up and put them into a drawer while the rest of her house looks perfectly normal? I guess that's it. But it's weird. It's really, really weird that we got a close up of that.
You think maybe like in a more well-crafted movie, this is them showing you that like all of this murder talk is kind of getting to her a little bit? Like
possibly.
Like she's evidenced that she is a tidy person, and she's evidenced that she is kind of a meticulous person, and now all of a sudden she kind of just seems to want to like get this next thing done and just kind of move along, and maybe that's supposed to be like, oh, this is getting to Julie a little bit. She's gonna start to act a little paranoid, you know, because everybody she talks to is asking her about, like, it's not sudden, but like maybe the priest talking to her and then the house marm talking to her, maybe this is all getting to her a little bit and making her a little more nervous than she should be.
That's an explanation. So,
you know,
yeah.
But if it was a good movie, and that's a dream that we can have but won't come to fruition at any point during this thing. So she gets to class, she's gonna teach her first class, and it's the standard new teacher in a classroom and the kids are testing their boundaries sort of scene. people are loud and obnoxious and not they're not super obnoxious. It's not like this like this film is taking place in the ghetto. They're just standard noisy, chatting with each other, ignoring the teacher level obnoxious.
But did you get the sense that any of those students, there wasn't even like a goody two shoes, here's your apple teach
Right.
kid in there? Did you get the impression that any of them wanted to be there?
No, I did not. I did not find any indication of like a nerd who was like, I'm big into sociology. I can't wait to learn about all this. No, everybody just didn't want to be there. This was the mandatory credit that they needed to take to get to whatever optional credits they were looking for.
But it's not even that. At least half the class doesn't even look like they were capable of going to high school, let alone going to college. And I think that's part of the problem that we have, is they didn't know what movie they were making. And this holds true for all the doctors and nurses in the insane asylum. No one other than the teacher and the fathers look the part they're playing. The students don't look like students. The doctors and nurses were like 20 years younger than you'd expect, and just like not doing anything they were supposed to do. No one who is in a role in this movie, other than a select few, is acting in that role. I mean, I know with the Sansom, you're probably trying to show incompetence, but Dr. Giggles got out, and everyone there looked like they were, like they were supposed to be there.
Dr. Giggles had a budget. I don't believe this movie had any level of a budget. I would not be surprised to find out that these people did not even know they were being filmed when Julie showed up to teach the class. They were there. They were legitimately there for their CCD summer school, and then she came in like, I'm the new teacher, and these people were just already there, and they signed their disclaimers at the end of the scene, like, hey, surprise, you guys were just in a movie. Do you want your faces to show, or do we have to show you guys from the back? It's up to you.
Yeah, but then you make that movie with the cast that you have. It's like if you're drawing up, offensive plays in football, and you need a mobile quarterback, but your quarterback is Eli Manning. Like, are you going to keep calling QB sneaks? You're not going to do that.
You just keep filming the feet, and no one will know the difference.
Yeah. So it would have been better had they made this high school. Then all of those kids are believable.
I hear you. I'll go with that. I'll go with that idea that if we said that, good enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, as you said right here on line 39 of our spreadsheet that we share, this movie sucks. And it sucks for so many different reasons. And now that we've gotten into the mundaneness of the movie, I'd like to talk about the main reason that it sucks.
Oh, but that line that I wrote is from a character who was going into the drive-thru, giving the driver a blowjob as they went in, and were upset by how much they had to pay. She only stopped to say that this movie sucks as a form of, we shouldn't have to pay this money to get in here.
It's very meta.
But yes. Yeah, I think they were self-aware at some point.
So I think here is my biggest actual problem with this movie, and it might cut out our need to review any more of the movie, but that's fine. I'd only be helping the show along. So you were talking about, some horror movies, they hide who the kill, like they hide the identity, right. Not who the killer is, but they hide the identity, and then reveal at the end. And you kind of get like, it lets your mind wander, which is always, if you can pull off inducing the watchers, the viewers' imagination, you've pulled off something very important and very powerful, because now everybody's working through their own theories, and thereby picking up their own little clues that they have decided are clues when you may not even have met. Like you can make the movie so much bigger than it is by inducing the viewer to create their own theories in their head.
Right. Exactly.
But
right, I love those movies where you constantly have to think about what's happening and try to figure it out. Even if I'm wrong, the journey is fun.
And there are also, on the other side of that, there are plenty of movies where this guy's the killer. Okay.
Yes.
So now our journey through the movie is less of a who and more of a how. Okay. He's obviously going to go murder her. How's he going to pull it off? Is it going to be some ridiculously over the top thing, or is he going to figure out whatever? But the point is this.
Right.
The identity that they should have hidden in this movie, more than the priest's identity, is the trauma label that is on this movie. The fact that I knew that this was a trauma movie going into this absolutely and completely ruined this movie for me. And here's why. Because I thought about it for a long time after I suffered through this movie. When you tell me that we're going to sit down and watch a trauma movie, there are certain expectations that I have. First one is going to be that whatever it is, it's going to be way over the top. Whatever we're doing is going to be over the top. And they never quite get over the top. In fact, some of these kill scenes are pretty decent by B-movie standards.
Right.
The plot never gets completely over the top. No one becomes a mutant of any kind. No one comes back from the dead in any kind of way. It never gets to the ridiculous level of a trauma movie. And I keep waiting for it to. I keep waiting for the thing that's going to trigger the thing that then we're going to get to meet Toxie. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that's their biggest piece. But I keep waiting for okay, now we're going to find out that the priest was actually killed before he escaped the asylum and he's been a zombie this whole time. Or whatever it is, it never rose to the level of being a trauma movie while I kept waiting for it to. And I think if I never saw Lloyd's name and I never saw the trauma stamp on this, the movie wouldn't be any better, but I may have liked it a little bit more because I wouldn't have this like built-in expectation of camp. And the camp that was in there was like, so in the scene that you're talking about where they say this movie sucks, that's campy. Yeah. That's campy, and it's campy on purpose, and they know what they're doing when they do that. The only other camp in this movie is me viewing these people and going, you people are acting ridiculous, but they're not acknowledging that they're acting ridiculous. So the camp is only, in my head, campiness. And so the revelation that this is a trauma movie absolutely obliterated anything that could have been good about this movie.
No, I agree. In fact, I knew that going in, and then I quickly forgot it was, and then remembered later at the end, like, oh yeah, this was touched by Lloyd Kaufman. So, but his fingerprints are really not on this movie.
Very, very faint at best. Are faint. And it's funny because I had just watched there's a documentary called The Last Blockbuster, and it's about the last blockbuster, and he's in it, and he's interviewed in it. And if you don't know who he is but know what he's done, he's exactly who you would have thought he was going to be. The first scene in it is they want him to say, hi, I'm Lloyd Kaufman and I'm here doing this interview. And he's like, why do I have to introduce myself? These people go to Blockbuster. They know exactly who I am. And he's right. He's right.
Yeah.
But like that level of super self-aware, campy ridiculousness is their trademark. And to not have that in this movie at all, it ruined every step of the movie for me because I kept looking for it. I kept looking for it like as if, oh, maybe it went over my head. Maybe I missed it. Maybe the joke was there and I didn't catch it because I was doing two things at once. No, it's just the movie's so super linear and so straightforward. Killer escapes the asylum. Here's the killer. Killer's going to kill the people that he lures in. And that's the movie. And it kind of fucking ruined it.
Yeah. No, I understand.
So that's where I'm at with this overall. But you know, like I said, I'm more than happy to talk about the kills in this movie because they are actually, even by trauma standards, even by B movie standards, they're some quality kills. And
Yes.
they did this thing that they don't normally do in movies with high body counts, but each kill is pretty much to a different, like through a different method through the body. Like the list is first somebody gets stabbed in the dick and then they get killed.
Yeah.
Then somebody gets stabbed in the tits. Then somebody gets scalped. Then somebody gets their chest split open. Then somebody gets their belt. Like they keep moving around. Like every one is a different planned out special effect. And it's a practical effect at that time too, and they're all so well done. And that I think made it even more frustrating.
That helps too because you basically have one weapon in this movie. It's a knife.
Right.
So when all your kills are going to be done with a knife, you don't want them to get repetitive. You don't want them to get boring.
Right.
So the more changes you can make in that, the better these scenes are going to be.
Yeah. And I guess that can go one of two ways. Either the killer strictly has like a trademark behavior, like a very specific. I always stabs them between the third and fourth rib on the right side 2 times, and that's how their kills are.
Yeah.
Or they're super random, and every time is so unplanned that it's a different. It's whatever's the most accessible point in the body at that time, and that's what this did, and I loved it. It, but I hated the movie.
No, I agree. There was a few things before we get to the kills I just wanted to touch on very quickly.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't mean to cut it.
Oh, no.
But that's just like that's where it lands for me.
I get it because the kills are the reason to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Everything else in between is trash. There's a scene where they pull into that when I was talking about Jim Martin. They pull into to get some food. They're all hanging out in the parking lot. When they pull in, there is there's a car to their left with the trunk open and somebody standing behind it that looks like they're cleaning their hands, like they just did something. The very next shot we get is from the different angle of the car. The trunk is closed, the hood is open, the man is gone, and there's a green car parked right next to it that was not there less than a second ago. All of those continuity issues, like instantly. But the real reason I wanted to talk about this is when the girls come out with the drinks, it's those old wax, yellow and orange flower cups. And I am so nostalgic for those cups. They were the cups that my grandparents and parents would take me to Sunnyside Farms, and I'd get a milkshake. So, like, I see that cup, I remember that store, I remember being in there, I remember buying baseball, and I'm like 5 years old, And, all of those memories come back just from seeing that cup. But to give you a little more insight on me, I did the whole Rick Springfield thing to try to explain who I am. When I was in kindergarten, we were given this assignment. It said, what's your favorite this? What's your favorite that? So every favorite, and then we wrote down for favorite smell. Would you like to guess what my favorite smell is?
Not after the conversations we had this week. No. So I'm going to go with waxy Dixie cup.
No, but it's on the premises of where those cups were.
Okay.
I wrote the cows because I associated the smell of shit with getting ice cream. So therefore, I can smell cow shit. That must mean I'm getting a vanilla milkshake today. Great.
So when I was a kid and we moved into our house in Cherry Hill, up the corner from us was a place called Holly Ravine Farms. And it was a farm, as per the name, and it was a dairy too. Like they made their own ice cream kind of dairy.
Yes.
And their farm section had like a petting zoo. So every kid who had a birthday had their birthday there. So in the same way, like goat shit and vanilla ice cream go together for me like peanut butter and jelly. So I completely understand what you're saying, even though it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, because like it wasn't like a petting zoo, but when afterwards in the parking lot on the edge, there was a spot where the cows would come up and eat along this wall. But you could go over there and like pet them and not that somebody from the farms was there, but it was just kind of open to the public. So yeah, like that memory is just so strong when I see those cups, and then it made me think about, my parents were like, is there a problem with him? He likes the cow, So
why couldn't you just be big into agriculture? Like, why did it have to be a problem?
Yeah. Just, and to
as I think, so I had those memories, right? And then another big set of memories for me was that in the summer, we had a neighbor whose family owned a farm in Ohio. So we would travel out to their farm and we would stay at their farm, and then we would go to Cedar Point and ride the roller coasters and stuff. So that is another very special memory for me that's heavily reinforced by the smell of cow shit. So I completely understand where you're coming from, and it's not that weird.
Yeah.
I don't think so anyway.
No. I've told this story to many other people when appropriate. You're the first person to be like, no, it's okay, man. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm here to help.
One of the things that maybe was a little trauma-esque, and it's so quick. There is a scene where Julie is pushing the preacher, father along, and they're outside talking. And in the background, they're doing it's like all the sports fields, and there's some bleachers way off in the distance, and there is a couple on those bleachers that start to make out. And you can see like the girl's legs are way up in the air, but I mean, it's so small. While like there's this serious action happening in the front. Like, I don't know whether they thought to do that or two people on the crew were like, you want to go fuck up this shot? and they went all the way back there. But yeah, that was sort of some like ridiculousness happening in front of or behind some serious dialogue that just didn't fit for the serious movie I thought they were trying to make. And I don't even know if this would be, I don't know how to classify this mistake. It's not so much a continuity error. It's maybe just a visual and touch error by the prop master or whoever's doing this. They're leaving a bar, I believe, like the gang, and they're always drinking. So they instantly, after they got done drinking, have a bag filled with beer. And one of the characters starts tossing them out, and it turns out it's ginger ale. Well, here's the thing. If you look at the cans they're tossing, they've been opened. So not only is it not beer, they are empty cans of ginger ale. So I don't know whether that was on the set and some of the crew drank it and they went, well, that was our only 6-pack, and nobody went to the store to get another one. But yeah, all of those cans were empty.
They wanted you to know that those people, yes, they had spent the evening drinking.
Yeah.
But they also had some ginger ale. So when they go to bed that evening, they're not going to wake up with, tumultuous stomachs, so they won't be able to make class the next day. That's all that was. They wanted to show you how responsible these high school, college kids who hate sociology were.
So the other thing about all of these deaths that we're going to discuss, I hesitate here because I almost want to give the movie a little bit of credit, because they're, for all of the consistencies, they do remain very consistent with actions. So all of the deaths, other than the one that Miss Bloom talks about and the initial doctor, are female. The first doctor gets stabbed in the dick.
Noted.
So all of these deaths are sexually motivated. And they go out of their way to kind of shade all the men in this movie in a terrible light.
Yeah.
There's one character that any problem a girl has, it must be female problems due to them being on the rag.
Right.
One character learns that the girl's, one character learns that the girl is pregnant. Well, let's have sex. Like, there is just this constant no proper emotions coming from any of the males in this movie. Even one of the fathers is trying to fuck all the girls at the college.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm going to need to talk to you after hours. And then another girl comes in, Denise, I think it is, with a problem, and he can't stop staring at her legs. And they eventually have sex. So, well, we don't see it. We just know from what's said later. The only male in this movie that doesn't necessarily treat women awfully is Mark. With the exception of when Mark first sees Julie, and Julie's like, where's the father's office? And he tells her to go down the hall. Julie may as well be dressed like a Puritan. And he stares at her and walks away. It's like, Like, it was weird. But later they go on a first date, and Julie goes, you want to go back to your place? And he's like, no, thank you, ma'am. I have an engagement to get to. Like, why? And it's not like, I think him and Julie had a decent time on the date. So if you're dating Julie and she says, do you want to go back to your place? If you've had a decent time, you're probably going to say yes. And then if you don't, for whatever reason, you're going to follow up with a second date, which he doesn't seem to do, even though he still expresses interest in her. And they do try to frame him as the murderer because he's collecting all of the articles, which is never explained. And the funny thing about those papers, though, is when you take them out of the desk and walk away, they all change places.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's like, like if you're not watching it, they, Woody and Buzz are having a party, but in this case, it's newspapers. And then Mark never, ever attempts to go, yeah, Julie, I want to talk to you about what you saw in my apartment, until later in the movie, and he half-asses it at best.
So let me ask you this question.
It's weird.
And I know it's going to be tough to answer because the hypothetical I'm going to present to you requires a whole lot of reframing what's already in your brain. A Russ who's your age, but grew up in the 60s through the 80s instead of the 80s to now.
Okay.
Is watching this movie when it first comes out. Besides the obvious point that they're trying to frame Mark as like this movie is trying to feed you yet another person to misdirect you from father being the killer.
Right.
Do you think that any of the other men's behaviors stands out the way that it does to today, Russ? Right? Like if we're watching this movie in 1980 and we're grownish folks in 1980, are we watching this and going, man, they really are painting these men as chauvinist assholes? Or are we watching this movie and going, yeah, that is how I'd expect college kids to act at that time? You know what I mean?
Well, yes, I agree with you, and you are right. It's just usually it's not every single one.
Right. There's usually a diversity to it. I understand.
Yes. In fact, Tony and believe it or not, there is someone named Tony in this movie.
Of course.
Tony, right after his girlfriend is murdered, is making out with another girl.
Immediately.
Immediately. Yes.
Which does two things. First of all, it reinforces that he's a pig, which we already got
Yeah.
that. But also, again, now he's another suspect. Because in your mind, the only way you can justify that behavior is because he wanted her dead in the first place, right? Like, the only way that you see a human being go from, I can't believe this important person is dead, to you want to hook up, is that they were working on the deading part of that.
Now I don't have to buy her a Christmas present.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
And we're not dating until after Valentine's Day, so don't get
Yeah.
comfortable. But still, do you want to make out?
If no one kills you and you're still alive after February 14th, we can get back together.
Let's pinky swear on it. But
yeah.
I hear you and I understand what you're pointing out, and I don't deny it, but I do think
Yes.
sometimes we watch these movies and our lens is skewed because we've lived through when we've lived through. But yeah,
and
these guys are super over the top. The word use, Y-O-U-S-E, came up about 471 times in the dialogue. So yeah, the fact that there was a guy named Tony really didn't throw me off either. I was like, wait, why do they keep saying use? Like, I guess it's just filmed somewhere in the North Jersey area.
I once we were at a waitress. We were at a restaurant in Glassboro, and this waitress comes up to our table and goes, "Use guys want s'mores drinks." And like most of us were not dicks, but
yet still,
it's just
that's a lot.
Like how.
That's a lot of S's all at once.
How do you respond to that? It's like I understand, like when you I say words that are different. Everyone says words that are different. So what? Some sound worse than others.
Sure.
Use is one of them. It tells you a little bit about the person when they say use.
You can at least get a geographical
yes.
guess on where they're from.
Yes. But like my grandmother, from New York, everything's turlet and Earl instead of toilet and oil. So crazy shit is said.
Yeah.
But like that
combination
of all of
things together.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's that. Yeah, I think other than some continuity issues, which I'll just say during the deaths, those are like my main things I wanted to discuss, unless you had anything else.
But the continuity issues now come back to what was filmed when.
Yes.
And when were they filming entirely unique scenes versus like, okay, let's pick up this scene now that we filmed before, and it's going to be really difficult to, completely mimic what was happening in that moment. But let's go. What do you got for the continuity? What are we looking? What really got your goat with this time travel murdering movie?
There's a scene where a woman's killed in the toilet. Or on the toilet, and she is taking her lipstick and drawing a heart on the wall.
Yes,
with Deb in it. And when you open the door, you see you're in the money as a little there we go trauma, on the wall that disappears, and then we see her draw the heart. When she opens the door, the heart is now gone. So much of the graffiti on the wall keeps changing for some reason. So we know that they had to do that at two different times. When they're at the drive-in and one of the girls gets killed, the boyfriend goes out because they think, it's a prank. One of my friends giving me shit, So he's out there. The speaker, when he opens the door, the speaker is not on the door anymore. And the sun visor that he put down because she didn't want to watch the graphic, violent movie. So he's just like, well, fuck you. Here you go. I'll put it down. That is now up. Yet when they come back and he goes into the car, the sun visor is now back down, and the note that was on the back of it is gone. So each time they forget what they've done, and to the degrees that they've done it, and everything constantly changes in that scene. Then at the end, Mark opens the elevator door. There's nobody on the floor, but then from the other perspective, there she is laying on the floor. Father Jansen's knife has blood on it and then not blood on it, blood on it and not blood on it. And multiple times he's chasing Julie with it. There's blood, then the blood disappears, and then he puts the knife back into the crucifix on the wall. There's no blood, and then when you look back, it's covered in blood. So the amount of blood that are on things from scene to scene are changing. It's not even like, well, that spot was there. It's just either gone or it's there. So there's just a lot of little things like that. And again, it's 1981, 1984. They're not expecting people to watch these movies, but the more things watch the movies that, well, I don't know if they're expecting people to watch this movie, but the more things that you do like that, it's just kind of like, how much do you actually care about what you're making versus just, well, we made a movie and here it is type of thing. And it's so much.
I like to think that every movie made is made under the auspices of, we think this is entertaining and people will watch it.
Yes.
But I also know that there is tons of theories out there that just movies are made to be tax shelters and tax write-offs and money laundering schemes. And the class of movies that we watch in general, I can't decide which category they fall into. And this is just another one of those. I'm not sure that they thought this was a good or a bad movie, and I'm also not sure that they thought this was or wasn't an excellent money laundering scheme. Like it never. It frustrates me on some level because I mean, everybody does. It's how ego works. But I always watch these movies and think to myself, I could definitely make a better movie than this. Like I could at the very least, I could script a better. Like I could write a better script than this. But I don't, and I don't ever get the opportunity to because I don't have a lot of money to launder, I guess.
Yeah, I'd just saying. Well, here's the plan. It's New Jersey, so we can open up a car. We can open up a car wash. Or build a warehouse.
Oh, okay.
Don't fill the warehouse.
Empty warehouse.
I don't know what the laws are about having an unfilled warehouse in New Jersey, but you have to be making money. You have to be making more money keeping it unoccupied than you would be if you actually rented it out, because that's all it is now. Just empty warehouse after empty warehouse. An empty warehouse goes up here, and then they build another one across the street, and that one was never filled, and it's been 2 years. Literally, it's what's happening all around me. And car washes are popping up everywhere. And I forget, we just looked into that, and there is some major kickbacks with doing car washes.
So the car washes are the most concerning one to me out of all of them. Because it seems like the underlying concept is this. And I say this as a person who lives in an area where, and I am not kidding, a diner was torn down to open up a car wash across the street from a car wash, which is up the street from a car wash that is across the street from a car wash.
Yeah.
And to my understanding of all this, the nefarious idea is that all of these car washes won't survive. They can't. They're in too concentrated of an area. So what will happen in 5 to 7 years is they will default on their loans and the banks will own all of this land. This is the banks financing their ability to buy this land without making it look like they're buying up all this land. So that's part of it. But yeah, anything that gets torn down, replaced, reloaded around here, it's either a dispensary or a car wash or another Wawa.
Yeah.
Like that's all we get anymore.
Yeah. We just tore down a Checkers to build a car wash. across the street from a car wash that was just built, and 2 minutes down the road from a car wash that's already established.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And behind the car wash that was just built is an empty warehouse. So, I mean, like that was just built. Actually, I'm sorry, there's two. Forgot, there's one behind it and then one directly to the side too. So we have two empty warehouses in the same thing. And the funny thing is, it's like, it's now Quick Check.
Yeah.
We're going to have a Panda Express, Spark Car Wash, and then warehouses all mixed in. So it's not even like your typical, shopping area where you go and you just have a bunch of different places to choose from. It's just a hodgepodge of all of this stuff that we're going to, unfortunately, I'm concerned with all the empty. I mean, I know we just passed some laws, but I fear one day all the empty warehouses will just be data centers here.
We don't really have the land for the warehouses in the area I'm in, but what happens is you get a strip mall, and then every business in the strip mall goes out of business, and across the street they build a new strip mall. Like no one wants to fill in the old strip mall.
Yeah.
We're gonna build a new strip mall that's exactly the same size, just on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
So so that's our horror movie.
Yeah, that is
the overdevelopment of our land. And we also don't really have to worry about the data center issue necessarily because again we don't have the land for it.
Yeah.
Anywho, so killings in a movie. Let's talk about those.
Yes.
Let's talk about the dickless doctor.
Dickless doctor. Is it true? Yes.
So we're out there looking for one of the Graham brothers, and and one of the doctors who's trying to help looks inside a closet. Obviously, once you look in all the regular places, you got to look in the irregular places, and he gets stabbed in the dick, and now he's dead. And Daniel Graham takes the bloody clothes and just kind of like wipes them off, like that's how blood works.
Yeah.
And then walks away like he's the doctor. So as I said before, it's a good kill. It's a nice clean kill scene with a crazy person then putting on a bloody jacket and walking away.
And when we compare this kill to some of the other kills in the movie, the blood they use in this looks a lot more like red paint, where the other blood they use later does not. So that also could be the time that they shot it type of thing.
Yeah.
And minor complaint in all of the complaints about continuity, but if you stab someone in the dick, the knife does make a hole in their pants unless their fly is wide open, which was not. When the doctor when Daniel put on the pants, there was no cut in the pants, just the blood.
And also, not for nothing, but unless you nick the artery while you're doing this, they don't die instantly, and there's going to be a lot of screaming and pain that doesn't really ever come to light in this hospital where people are on this search for this person.
The same holds true for the forehead. Just putting that one out there now.
So 3 years minus 1 day later, we see a teacher working, on the homework at her desk, and someone's coming through the halls with the heavy breathing, and they find her in her room, and they knock on the door, and the teacher's expecting someone, and so they go to answer the door, and instead it's our killer, who now takes a knife out and stabs our teacher, Janet, right in the heart, and she falls and she bleeds out and she dies. And again, solid kill. Taking everything into account, the atmosphere and everything, it's a pretty good kill.
Yeah.
We don't have to ask ourselves like why she was at the door. Like, she was expecting someone,
right? So
she went to the door and she just got blindsided, and good. That's perfect.
And this knife does rip a hole in her clothing, so that's how it works. I don't know about you, but I was almost thinking this was a fake out. Like I wasn't expecting a death.
Like she was just gonna get the jump scare, and then it was actually gonna be Mark. Like, it
was just gonna be somebody that worked there, something along those lines, where it wasn't them, but then that person leaves, and now the killer comes. So I was not necessarily expecting it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's, choice of whatever you want to do.
Right.
But I just didn't feel like she was about to die. And then later we repeat this scenario with Julie, but it's not, it's not the murder.
Well,
So they kind of use this to then set up other scenes later. There's even a scene where it's a fake out by one of the idiot kids that, just decided to bring a knife somewhere. So they constantly play on this technique that's set up from them actually committing a murder the first time they did it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, our next death is really just told to us, right?
Yes.
It's not, we don't see it happen. We just learn that Mrs. Crowley killed her husband via cyanide? Arsenic
Yes.
in the prune juice.
And
go ahead.
To touch on what Mrs. Bloom was saying before, at least in this case, the killer took some time to get to know the victim, and let them go peacefully. Unlike these murderers today that have no respect.
Yeah, they're not as communal. They just get in there and they kill and they leave, and there's no sense of pride or anything like that. So our next body bag, we see Doreen hop in the car, and another solid horror movie trope that they've checked off here is when the car, cars just don't start the way they used to. You don't put a key in and just crank it and have it go.
But they always mention that, or they show it earlier. So they're telling us the car isn't going to start.
Yeah.
In this case, she wasn't even running from the killer. Her car just wouldn't start.
Yeah.
So there was no tension build up to that. I think it would have been better to have her run, get to the car, and it not start.
Right. But that's true. But I do like that they set it up like, hey, Doreen has an unreliable car, and now here it is being unreliable again.
Yes.
And so I guess again, this is another time where they think that they're kind of playing the audience on, this has to be somebody that knew Doreen and knew that Doreen always had car troubles and was just waiting around for the next time that Doreen would try to start her car, and they decided to scalp her, which was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Scalping is so personal compared to just like a jab to the head or a jab to the dick. And I thought this was an okay kill scene. The thing I liked the least was that after Doreen was dead, cars just started right up with no problems whatsoever.
Yeah. I agree. The kill scene was not bad, but, and again, they're not expecting us to pause it. It is so clearly rubber all over her forehead to the point where you don't even have to pause it to see it. But yes, the way everything went down was good.
Yeah, Doreen should have committed to being scalped in order to make this look more realistic.
Yeah.
I'm with you 100%.
Yeah. And one thing to keep in mind too is that even though the person escaped from the asylum, we're not constantly mentioning them, but we've made the link that it probably is them.
Yeah, and I think that's good too, because I think you go one of two ways there, right? Like they had the time jump. So now it's been 3 years since this person escaped from the asylum.
Right.
So you're not gonna have, it's been 921 days since the guy escaped from the insane asylum, and he stabbed the doctor in the dick, and no one can find him, and like that's not gonna happen. That only happens like if we're a couple days out from the asylum escape. So I think it's good that they didn't keep rehashing what we already know. So then we get to the drive-in, and we got Tom and Kathy there, and somebody's screwing with them by flashing the flashlight, and you know how that messes with your whole ability to watch a movie. So Tom thinks it's his buddy John, so he opts out to check. Kathy goes after him, and Kathy is looking for him, and we see somebody wearing Tom's outfit, like sort of.
No. Tom, they make it a point to show Tom's shoes.
Right.
They're blue.
Oh, right.
Then we show somebody.
Actually, not Tom.
That's definitely not Tom. So they're letting us know another set of feet are out there.
Right.
Tom's shoes, though, however, look like the exact same shoes that William Daniel Graham had one shoe on in the beginning. So I don't know whether that was just Tom walking down the hall in that scene or not.
Okay.
But it's the same. It's the same shoe. I mean, not the character Tom, the actor Tom.
Right.
But it's the same shoes.
So Kathy's looking around, and Kathy kind of stops to catch her breath because she's, exhausting herself looking for Tom. And the killer comes up behind her and slices her throat.
Yeah.
Decent kill.
Yeah.
Kathy even gets off a couple screams that John hears. And kind of it gets written off as that was the horror movie.
Yeah.
Now, I realize they were kind of distracted in the car, but most horror movies don't have random screams that don't have anything to do with what's happening on the screen. But they were cool just writing it off on this one.
Yeah. I think they also just didn't want to stop what they were doing.
Understandable. I get it, but you could have just said that instead. Did you hear something? Nope, stay there.
You know who doesn't hear the scream?
Tom,
and he's the closest to Kathy.
And he doesn't have a speaker box hanging on the window in his ear either.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
So the killer is taking Kathy away, and then when Tom gets back to the car, Kathy's in the car. So this is the first time we're sort of seeing the killer screw with people in real time.
Yes.
But John John doesn't know it because John hops in the car and just starts chatting it up with dead
Tom.
Kathy. Yeah, Tom.
But at least in the last kill with Doreen, he did try to hide the body. Like he threw the body in the dumpster. Yeah. But he left Janet out in the open for everyone to see. But in this case, he just puts her back in the car. I don't know why you go through the trouble to do that. Leaving her in the woods is the way to go. But he also knows that Tom is so fucking stupid that when he gets in the car, he's having a full-on conversation with her as if she's alive.
Well, you know how broads just like hold a grudge and don't respond and whatnot.
Yeah. And this is probably the proper amount of talking for a female from Tom's perspective.
Absolutely. So we don't actually see Tom get killed, though, right?
Tom does not get killed. No.
That's my point. That's why we don't see him get killed.
Yep. Yeah, and at this point, everyone's talking about Kathy's death, but no one's talking about Doreen's.
Nobody liked Doreen and her shitty car.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's like they only seem focused on one thing that's happening. Plus,
if they were to focus on the broader picture, they wouldn't be there in the first place.
Yeah. Good point.
So then we're back to campus, and Julie's going to go in the classroom, but there's something happening in the hallway. And there's a group of students that are like standing outside the locked door, and they're smelling something ferocious. Julie unlocks the door and turns on the light, and you know how the light can sometimes trigger doors to open automatically?
Yeah, that happens all the time.
And there's Cynthia, and she was killed and stuffed inside, the supply closet. Now, I won't pretend to be an expert on rigor mortis, but for Cynthia inside of that supply closet, inside of that locked room, to have such an odor that it would ruminate out into the outside atmosphere and catch everyone off guard seems like a lot.
She would have had to have voided her bowels.
Yeah.
After not voiding her bowels for a week.
Well, right, and have the killer carry those voids with them along with her to the closet.
And I know we just got done talking about how wonderful the cows smell, but typically when there is a terrible odor, hey everyone, gather around. Let's keep breathing whatever this possibly toxic smell is. It's nature's way of telling us it's not good for us, but we're too stupid to understand. Like, yeah, it's a weird scenario, but this is also the first death that happens off camera. We do not see how Cynthia dies, and the reason for that would be that we're trying to implicate Mark here, because this comes shortly after Cynthia and Julie broke into Mark's apartment, found all the articles,
Right.
and definitely gave themselves away because Julie got out of the apartment, hid on it in a door next to, across the hall, and then when Mark goes into the apartment, she goes the same way that he could possibly be instead of going out the back. Then when Cynthia comes back around after Julie's made her escape, Cynthia pulls up. It's like, honk, honk. So, of course, Mark looks out the window and sees them. It's like just stupid actions all around. And this is where Mark does try to clear his name, but the very I'm going to school and I'm waiting for her and going, look, I know you think you know what you saw, but here's the reason. For whatever crazy reason this guy has to hide all these newspaper articles. I don't know. Doesn't make sense. It's not logical, but it's just to throw us off and make us think that Mark is the killer, because he was also kind of talking to Janet.
Right.
Who also died.
So we have Margaret, and Margaret goes to the bathroom, and Margaret pees like a racehorse. And she's using lipstick to draw a heart with a name inside of it. And the killer is in like the next stall over, and they open their door, and as soon as she opens her door, they have the knife and they cut her in the stomach, and then they give her like the Harry Carry, where they cut in and then cut up to make sure that nothing can heal when they're done. We don't know who she loves. We just know that the first 3 letters of the name are Dev, and that's all we get.
And she uses her lipstick,
which has
to write.
Disgusting implications.
You might as well just be licking the wall.
I guess unless she uses the lipstick again, doesn't use the lipstick again afterwards. But yeah, it's a little much. That's the gross thing that happens in this movie.
Yeah, that's the gross thing. I couldn't figure out if she was a student or a faculty member, but whatever. She looked too old to be writing hearts in a bathroom stall. And she sits on the toilet with her legs so close together, they almost are like stuck. Like, I don't even know if they were real legs, like a real person, because it looks so weird.
I think it was anatomically impossible for her to pee, so whatever that noise wasn't her.
No, it was something else. So.
And we move ahead to Denise, and Denise gets Tony on the blower and says, come to the house. I need to talk to you. Come to my room. I need to talk to you. And she explains that she told Father Williams, but now she wants to tell Tony what Father Williams did to her. And Tony says he's on his way. And then she hangs up, and she hears a rustling in her closet, and she goes to walk, over to open the door. She opens it, and there's a knife, and she screams, and the killer stabs her right in her screamy mouth, which is like a very anti-woman kind of scene. You shut your mouth, and right there in the mouth.
Right, and now this is sort of implicating Father Williams, right, because she Denise went to Father Williams to say, I feel bad. I slept with Tony right after his girlfriend died. And then the solution to that is then to have sex with him. So now she's got to tell Tony, I felt bad. I had sex with you because your girlfriend died. And then I had sex with Father Williams because I felt so bad. So now I need to have sex with you again, right, is kind of where this is going.
Counterbalance.
And we know Father Williams is not on the up and up here. So, but it doesn't, just because you're a pervert doesn't mean you kill people. But that's kind of the path they want us to be on at the moment.
So that's the path we're on. And what we get now is Julie trying to outrun Father Jansen. And she gets on an elevator, which I never understand that decision in any of these movies, but whatever.
I mean, it really needs to say in case of fire or possibly being murdered use stairs.
And then her secondary maneuver. Now, I don't exactly know where she got on the elevator, but she goes up, which, again,
Yes.
this seems incredibly fucking stupid.
You have to have a plan. There has to be something up there.
Yeah.
Weapons, perhaps.
A zip
That's
line.
where the phone is. Yes.
There's one of those
Yeah.
inflatable mattresses at the bottom of the
Yeah.
building. But going up is completely limiting your options in a very, very poorly thought out way.
Right.
And to make matters worse, the elevator is apparently so slow that Father Jansen can ascend the stairs quicker than the elevator can get to its stop. So when the doors open, there's Father Jansen. And for whatever reason, Julie, who is on the run from a murderer, and that's why she gets on this elevator in the first place, is not facing out when she gets to the floor she wants to get. Like, there is only one place she should want to be facing, and that's out. And she's
out
not,
because you need to go out because
that's your only option, right? You did this so that you could get out and run, and she's not looking the right way. And so Father Jansen grabs her and stabs her and, rips the knife through her. We rarely get our like main protagonist killed at the, like, usually this would be some kind of bloody fight scene that ends in Father Jansen being mortally wounded or both of them dying.
And especially because Mark's on the way to help.
And
like he's figured it out. Right. He's trying to get to the school to help her. So usually when we get that type of scenario, Julie in this case would survive.
Not to mention, we're not that far out from Denise having been killed that perhaps Tony now knows that there's something going on that he can, like, that he can convene on too. Like, there's possibly two people helping out here, but she just gets, killed in the dumbest possible fucking fashion.
Well, because she's done the dumbest thing.
Yeah, she went against the her instincts and she ignored all of the all of the obvious all the obvious hijinks that have been happening.
After Cynthia's death, Julie believes it's Mark, and then Mark, at this point, Mark does try to call, but it doesn't matter. And Julie is convinced it's Mark. So instead of going to the police, she's going to tell Father Jansen.
Right.
And it's not like Father Jansen was just there when she figured it out. She's taking a trip. So, like, no, call the police, because even if you tell Father Jansen, then you still have to call the police. Mark could have killed Father Jansen. Mark can be there waiting for you if he is the killer. So call the police. Like they'll sort it out. And and when you like you said, when you get to the elevator, you leave. You head out. You keep on going.
There are 4 walls. And one of those walls is going to become permeable in a moment. Yeah. That's the wall you should be the most interested in by far. Like, it's not even close. Unless you have the Spider-Man-ish ability to scale and get up on the roof of the elevator, you only care about one of those 4 walls. She had a 75%, 100% chance of getting this right, and she chose wrong.
Yep.
And that's how the movie ends.
Well, Mark is there. He then runs. He finds Julie's body. He then goes to Father Jansen's office. Father Jansen is in there out of breath and sweaty, like he was just watching Cops. And we look at the crucifix, which I thought was pretty cool. He had the crucifix that he unsheathed the knife from and then put it back up on the wall. There's 0 blood on it, but then when Mark looks up, blood's dripping down, and either it's a miracle or Mark understands that Father Jansen is the murderer.
Right. And scene. And I guess sometimes it's weird to play this game at the end of these movies, but how do you survive the killer?
You just call the police.
That's good.
You call the police.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if you know who the killer is or not. Call the police.
Quick question though, in that vein, what police?
Yes, yeah.
There is one class that has 6 dead people in the last 72 hours? What police?
What police?
Now, if you're the killer, this is going to take me down a whole series of questions, but if you're the killer, what do you do differently?
I clean my crucifix.
Okay.
That's it.
That's a solid move.
That is it. Or you either clean it or you don't put it back up on the wall. Because other than that, everything has to be proven. So
here's the here's the thing though, right? And you can tell me if I'm wrong, but until Julie's death, we don't really have I know we know as the viewers, but we don't really have any indication that anyone is on to Father Jennings and his high and his
none whatsoever.
Doings. Okay. He's been out of the insane asylum for 3 years. We know of at least one other murder that we're going to attribute to him, and that's the other JP's murder, the other teacher's murder.
Yes.
Has he just decided now's the time to run through the entire sociology class? Or have these deaths been happening this whole 3-year time?
Well, the way Miss Bloom talks about it and the way he even talks about it is that all of these deaths keep occurring.
Right. So it took us as the viewer with limited access to information about 9.5 minutes to figure out that he was the killer. I go back to that what police question and ask it very seriously. Like, if Mark never catches on, does this guy just keep stringing out kills for the rest of his life?
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe he kills Mark. We don't know.
Right.
So he may still be out there killing.
So genuinely, he does not need to.
Oh wait, no. I'm sorry. The movie ends with him in the asylum,
which we already know he can escape from.
Yes.
He just needs to change his name. And
one thing we did not say yet is that the audio track in this movie is so off.
Oh, completely.
Usually it was just by a split second. At the end, it's almost like they did two different things. They shot a scene and then they started the audio 30 seconds late and went, that's good enough, because nothing matched up.
No, it was terrible. All right. So did they set out to make the movie they wanted to make? I don't know, because I have no feel for what movie they wanted to make. I couldn't tell you if they wanted to make a movie about a serial killer who escaped from an insane asylum, or if they wanted to make a goofy, over-the-top movie about kids getting killed at a school. Like, I don't know what the original target was, so I can't tell you one way or the other if they hit their mark.
This made me think of the Simpsons episode Who Shot Mr. Burns, where they actually had to do multiple endings so the ending wouldn't be ruined.
Right.
And I feel like that was almost kind of what they may have done here, except they labeled the canisters of film a certain way, and then all the labels got mismatched. And out of the 5 different possible killers, we got 5 different parts of the story, and they just ended with, the Father Jansen being the killer. I don't think they meant to do that. So I think they just went, we can make a movie. We made a movie. I don't think I can 100% say they did not make the movie that is on the VHS cover. So no, they did not make the movie they set out to make.
All right, fair enough. If you weren't forced to, would you watch this movie again?
This falls into that thing where this is not a good movie, but it's good enough for a horror movie. Because, the kills were not terrible. I would watch this again to challenge myself to find 100 inconsistencies. I believe they're in there.
So you only want to watch the first 20 minutes of the movie then?
Yeah, because the main thing that Julie, I forget her actual name, did was she was concerned about the wardrobes remaining the same. So that means throughout this movie, there's scenes where people aren't wearing the right thing from scene to scene, and I didn't even spend time doing that. But I'm fairly confident I could find 100 mistakes in this movie, and that would be the reason I'd want to watch it again.
All right, fair enough. At least you have to give yourself a goal before you'll sit down and watch it.
Yes, yes.
So, on a limited budget with a limited amount of time, how do you fix this movie?
The father is basically driven to kill due to temptations of the flesh, impure thoughts. We even have that scene where he just throws some porno mags into a dumpster. Out of context, that makes no sense. Like, if you don't know that he's the killer, it's just really, really weird. But I want to make that more of the focal point of this movie, so at least the movie has a focal point. When Daniel Graham escapes the asylum, there needs to be mention of him being a sexual deviant, predator, or something like that from the people in the hospital or on the news. And I am not opposed to just getting rid of this entire part altogether. It doesn't need to be an escape patient. It can just be someone struggling within their own means and their desires, who is functioning as a father. So we do that by putting more of a focus on purity and the evils of impure thoughts in any of his discussions at the school. And then we can have someone struggling with the concept of, I have all these desires, I have all these thoughts. As a man of God, I cannot follow on them. And as a man of God, I am a good man, so it must be her that's evil. She's the devil. I stomp out evil. I kill. Sort of like the majorettes, how he took it upon himself to baptize the unpure, but it doesn't need to be impure. It could just be the fact that this woman is a focus of his lust, and he views the lust as a sin. So instead of controlling his own behaviors, he eliminates the source of the lust. So at times he's good, at times he's bad, type of thing. And I think that might provide us with a little bit more complex killer. I also we touched upon this before, I want some realistic looking students at the very least. Students that want to be there, even if they're not realistic looking, you can write them as wanting to be in the class, because it's weird that all of them don't want anything to do with this. I think that's pretty much what I would do.
I think that covers it. Like, I think in you discussing what you'd fix, I'm now struggling even more with what's so wrong with this movie. He's an escaped mental patient, but we don't know why he was a mental patient in the first place.
Right.
Instead, we pick up after he's already pretending to be a priest with impure thoughts. All right.
Yep.
So if you're going to give me the guy who is struggling with sexuality and in whatever concept you want to do that, you don't need to also make him a priest. Like you said, if he's in an insane asylum, give me a murder that landed him there that they didn't realize, like a murder that could have been a murder for any particular reason, but we know it's because he struggles with this sexual, issues.
Right.
And then when he escapes, that's just the thing that he does. He doesn't need to be a priest. He doesn't need to land on being in charge of a school. He can be in charge of most anything and play this out. There's a whole lot of over-explaining that just is unnecessary, that could be better dealt with by having longer, not chase scenes, but like longer build-up scenes. We see him at a diner, and there's a woman who sits next to him at the counter at the diner and buys him a cup of coffee and tells him he's attractive, and they start heading to her house, and then like his switch flips, and then he's got to kill her, in the alleyway or whatever it is. Like, you could do this idea so much better by actually removing the key points of the movie, which are he's a priest and he kills people.
Yep.
Because he's a priest is irrelevant because he's not. He's pretending to be a priest, but he could pretend to be in charge of an all-girls school for all we care, and it works the same way.
It's the whole mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So mostly your fixes are the fixes, and if you want to keep this movie this way, I think you need to add two things. One, you're right. These people, I don't know that they need to be happy that they're in this class, but they need to be in this class. It needs to be a summer school class. It needs to be, if you guys don't finish this class, you don't get to take your volleyball class in the fall.
Exactly.
Whatever it is, you need to obligate them into being there, and you need them to act like, all right, I'm not happy that I'm here, but I understand that it's a necessity for me to figure my way through this class. And then the other thing you need from this insane asylum patient, if you want to keep this whole gimmick going, he's in the insane asylum, and the only person that can get through to him while he's in there is a priest, is the actual, psychiatrist / priest. You get BD Wong to play the role, and that's the only person who, when he sits down and talks to the priest, he starts to feel better about himself. So when he breaks out, he decides my best bet is to become a priest, because that's the only time I felt normal in the insane asylum, and now this is why he's dressing as the priest, but he hasn't beat his demons, so he's still him. He just thinks like that's the only person he ever connected with, and that's why he's taken on that disguise, if you will. And the rest of it, you play it out how you want. Just take the trauma label off of it, and then we're good. And then we're good.
I forgot to do this, but I was curious. I want to go back and look at anything else Lloyd had made around 1981 and just kind of see if it had the same vibes to it.
Like if it was a little more serious?
Yeah. So, like, it's in, like Toxic Avengers, sends them in a completely different direction.
Right.
So, anything that's made at that time or afterwards is going to have that feel because it's, they found what they're good at. So I meant to invest a little bit of time to see anything prior to that. Is it less campy? And like off the top of my head, I don't remember a lot of dates, so I can't speak to that. But that could be the reason it's like this.
Well, first of all, hold on 1 second, because I just learned that there's a movie called Human Hibachi 3: The Last Supper, and they need to find out Human Hibachi 1 and 2 and 3 at that point. So
of course,
if we go back too far, okay. So well, that's interesting. It's not there, so it's not in this list here at all. This list goes from 80 to 80. It jumps from 80 to 89, but this is a list of where he's the producer. So hold. Oh, that's
yeah,
where
he's exactly.
He's an actor in the movie. Okay, so that's why that list is so much different. Hold on, because it's a fair question. Here we go. Producer, 166 movies. There we go. Okay, so he's a producer on Squeeze Play, which I think was actually a really good movie. He's a producer on Final Countdown, then Mother's Day, then Waitress, Splatter U, Screenplay, Zombie Island Massacre is 84. Let's assume that that's, off the deep end.
Yeah.
That, and then Toxic Avengers also 84. But, he's making this movie also in 83, not just in 80. But Waitress, I think, is three lovely waitresses contend with a drunken, slovenly chef and mutinous patrons. So already he's doing trauma things in 81. It's not like he hasn't had a turn in tone. Just this movie is just terrible. The Final Countdown.
Yeah, that makes sense then.
Modern aircraft carrier is thrown back in time to 1941 near Hawaii, just hours before the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. Was that Martin Sheen? That is Martin Sheen. I didn't realize he produced real movies. All right, so I mean that's our bloody take on this movie. If you have any comments or questions, or you dare to watch this movie, you can let us know. We are at all the socials. We're at Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Blue Sky, and Twitter. It's all one word, one bloody take, and we're on TikTok, _bloody_take. You can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Substack, anywhere you get your podcast. Just search out One Bloody Take. We're there. We put out a new episode every Wednesday. Join us next week when we discuss 1991's Camp Fear. I'm Paul.
And I'm Russ.
And thanks for listening to our Bloody Take.